comfort from the gospel, and also how we can share comfort to one another when we suffer from anxiety. I think the easiest way to say what anxiety comes from the fear of loss. We're afraid of losing something. What we fear losing the most is where anxiety begins to take form, or its foundation. Then we fall into this cycle of being anxious about being anxious. And then we become anxious because we know that we shouldn't be anxious. And it's just this downward spiral that we keep doing. The cycle only has an outcome, which is depression. And depression in its final state leaves you feeling this sense of defeat. Like I finally have given in to my anxiety. And then darkness covers any light of hope. Any energy that you have to fight back feels too expensive at the moment. We lack in our emotional bank what feels the requirement that it's going to take to fight back my anxiety. It's just not there. The darkness can't be pushed back. And to add to an already dim situation, our depression then leads us to another level of anxiety, because now we are anxious knowing we're depressed. And it just keeps going and going. Now, some of you may not struggle to the level that I have just described, but you may know of someone who does, who feels this constant cycle. And this is, I think, more common in our society than we care to admit. The more I deal with people, the more I read, and even with my own frailty, I think we have learned to hide and cover up our anxiety instead of being willing to deal with it openly. Current events, of course, in our world have pulled back the rose-colored glasses as on many of us, and we just kind of see now how fear really begins to control our lives. And we are controlled by fear. We all experience fears at different levels, but they come from the same place. Fears of our safety and the safety of the ones we love. We all feel this. And many fear how they will die. A progressively debilitating disease or cancer, Alzheimer, being alone, being penniless. A common fear is what happens after death. Am I going to be forgotten? Am I going to be maligned? Am I going to be judged? Extinct. Fears about living a meaningless life. Extensive resumes seem more and more hollow when you consider the end of your life. There are those who fear being unloved or alone. Fears about being in love and the high probability of being hurt at the same time. Fears about what you might lose. Your figure, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your hair, your mouth, your youth, your mind, money, job, spouse, health, hobbies, purpose, faith, whatever you want to put in there. We all have these fears that cause our guts to check, and we can all feel that moment of sickness. One author wrote this I found helpful. Anytime you love or want something deeply, you will notice fear and anxiety because you might not get them. Anytime you can't control the fate of those things you want or love, you will notice fears and anxiety because you might lose them. Good insurance policies might help, but they only lessen the risk on things that aren't our real worries. They can't ensure that our loved ones will outlive us or keep us from the ravages of age. Control and certainty are myths. Something that has truly hit me hard this week is the truth that fears live in the future. If you think about what causes us to be afraid, it's not what's happened in the past. It's the potential of what might happen in the future, the unknown. Something that has anxiety only exists in a world today because our future is so uncertain, and it's the future of our safety that we fear. So the lack of control is what scares us. Really, that's what anxiety is. It's the lack of what you can control, what's outside of your realm of power. So before sin entered into the world, from what we know from Genesis, there was no anxiety. I mean, what is there to be anxious about? There was no fear of the future. There was nothing to be afraid of. There was nothing lacking. There was no impending danger. But every moment of every day presents the unknown outcomes for us today. Outcomes that call into